Environmentalist Joseph Masembe, a marketing executive.
Joseph Masembe is creating quite a buzz in the East African nation.
Environmentalist Joseph Masembe, a marketing executive, has started a nationwide frenzy of fruit tree planting in the country.
Little Hands, Little Feet will introduce you to Uganda's Green Army and how the kids are making a difference.
Joseph Masembe is creating quite a buzz in the East African nation. He has started a campaign dubbed Uganda's Little Hands Go Green, and he's seeking to build an army of young patriots by hyping fruit tree planting using children.
The promoters of a campaign dubbed Uganda's Little Hands Go Green believe that children can do what adults have failed to do.
Today on Straight Talk Africa. Joining us today here in Washington is our distinguished guest, Joseph Masembe, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ugandan-based civil society organization, Little Green Hands. Well, I have to say, Joseph, that finally I am profoundly honored and exceedingly humbled to have the opportunity to host you for the first time on Straight Talk Africa.
People think we are good, we are okay. We are not yet in crisis mode. We are not in a desert. And they are wrong. What climate change does, it acts like a cancer. Slowly by slowly, it eats into us. Today, children suffer from asthma, bacterial infections, all these funny colds and diseases because the air they breathe is no longer pure and fresh. What you're looking at is continuous years of dumping plastic waste. Because in Uganda and in Kampala largely, we do not dispose of plastic waste. Actually, it is estimated that less than 5% of all the plastic waste we have is recycled. These are close to residential areas where people live, where families live. So you find that the number of children's clinics spread around this area where you normally find this plastic dump and waste are very many. The question is, why do they keep springing up?
Uganda, like most tropical countries, is endowed with natural forests and beautiful scenery. Its green canopy keeps the country's climate livable and supports the agriculture that feeds the nation. But sadly, Ugandans are continuing to cut down the trees for charcoal and timber and have cleared much of the forests to pave way for agriculture. Masembe says this mentality needs to change.
So we must understand that we are all made in the image and likeness of God, and God has given us responsibility to co-create, to make nature more beautiful than we found it.
How are you going to make sure that we have the trees? In Islam, it is institutional that you plant trees. And all our imams are in the know that the sermons that are given, one of the issues that they're supposed to touch is environment. And the tree is much more reflected in the Holy Quran. About 500 verses talk about trees.
Over the years, it has proved to be difficult to spread this campaign among adults who on a daily basis cut down trees without replacing them.
Children have a proprietary interest in the future. And I keep telling this to so many of us. And we do not inherit this earth from our parents. We simply borrow it from our children. Now, if we do not take certain fundamental steps towards ensuring that the children that we give birth to, the children that will be future leaders of tomorrow, if we do not take fundamental steps to ensure that they will inherit, one, a planet that is green and healthy, but secondly, that they can be able to maintain it in that way. And to be able to maintain it in that way, we need to teach that to them at a tender age. So that's how I jumped off from doing law to practicing environmental conservation education with special emphasis on the young children, because whatever we impart on them today, they will quickly own it when they grow up.
But one wonders how these children are easily convinced and implement the green campaign.
For us, the model is not just about planting trees. It is showing children that the environment can be fun and entertaining. So we decided to create green festivals, almost like mini Disneys, mini fun fairs.
How often?
We do that about twice a year. And it is basically a fun fair element where children spend the entire school term taking care of the environment, doing recycling projects, avoiding littering, planting trees. And then during the holiday, the green ambassadors all gather at one amazing venue, and we are on the bouncing castles, we are modeling, we are swimming, we are jumping up and down, simply as a reward for taking care of the environment. Because all work without play will always make Jack a dull boy. So let us go and play, because we have planted the trees. There is a lot of deforestation happening on large scales and smaller scales. So what we do is, let's do our limited efforts, and because we're children, we go out, have fun, and play.
Mr. Masembe for Little Hands Go Green, we are really so grateful for this initiative, bringing our children together with other children, because despite the disabilities, these children can do even more wonders. And disability has nothing to do with ability. Disability is not inability.
That the green festival is good.
We need to constantly pound it in the heads of these children and their parents that growing up and taking care of the environment is their own responsibility.
So what we are doing as Little Hands Go Green is to look for so many different ways to be able to educate our children, their parents and families and communities about environmental conservation.
I've been planting these vegetables. Most of it is cabbage, and there is some mint right over here.
The annual event is aimed at nurturing young ones to conserve the environment from wherever they come from. Since he has spent years calling on Ugandans to conserve the environment and probably falling on deaf ears, today President Chair Masembe decided to fight for this cause through Little Hands Go Green campaign.
The environment is very crucial for our survival. So it's good that you love the environment, you protect the trees, and you plant trees. That's very good.
This has indeed worked, and some children confess to having planted more than one tree from this eco-friendly initiative.
It's important to plant trees because when you plant trees and your parents get old, you can feed them on that tree you have planted long ago.
What is a green
It's
festival?
much more than that.
Okay, walk us through it.
As you had explained in the beginning, you started in 2012. It's just to encourage children to care and think about their future, because children really we are very passionate about our future. If you say, something's gonna happen, then we'll try our best to create a change for the better.
The success of conservation depends on ensuring that the young ones, the little hands, are actually involved in conservation. Therefore, Little Hands Go Green, I think, is an excellent strategy. It is a very excellent approach, very practical, that will ensure sustainability of the management of the environment.
I have gone to 36 districts planting trees with different children, because I think that it's important to plant trees because they protect our environment, so that I want to save my environment and make it a better home for others in future.
School, we have tried to plant some trees because the natural forests are being destroyed by man, who is supposed to plant the trees.
Exactly 1 year ago, we were here in Kokonjeru marking World Environment Day, and it was one of the first schools that we planted as we were celebrating World Environment Day in Mbale. Today we've come back here, and to our amusement, most of the trees that we planted with the kids have actually grown.
So me as a person, I can start by collecting all the caveras in my home.
Yeah.
This will lead to also gathering all caveras in a neighborhood.
Okay.
This will also lead to gathering all caveras in a district, and so on and so forth. So it goes bigger and bigger, and the campaign gets stronger and stronger, and people get more involved, seeing the importance of why we should ban cavera. Yes, so the little things that we do can actually make a great impact on others, and it becomes stronger and stronger.
A child's mind is like wet cement. Every time you write on it, it becomes permanent. So every time you involve children in anything, and it sticks in there, then you know the future is assured. And when I look at life in general, I sit down and look at Lionel Messi, David Beckham, all these tennis superstars, the Williams sisters, and I realize that from a nascent age, they have been teaching them tennis, football, and all these other things. So since it has worked and produced superstars,
and they became superstars.
If we can wake up and teach this to the children, then we'll have so many Wangari Maathais across the board, across Africa. And that will be a beautiful start.